Hello, welcome to my channel. This is the Multipolar Dispatch channel, episode 8. For more than 500 years, one assumption has quietly shaped the modern world, that whoever controls the oceans ultimately controls the world. For centuries, that seemed undeniably true. Today, I'd like to explore a simple question. Has changes in technology now changed the underlying assumption that whoever controls the oceans control the world? So if you enjoy this episode, this documentary, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in episode 9. Thank you.
Episode 8. The Return of Land Power. Why Geography is Changing History Again. The First Age of Land Power. Every civilization inherits the same mountains, the same rivers, the same oceans. Yet history keeps changing. Why? Because technology changes what geography means. For most of human history, power belonged to the land. The earliest great civilizations emerged beside rivers. The Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus, the Yellow River. These rivers were the highways of the ancient world. Long before railways or highways, moving goods over land was painfully slow. Water changed everything. A single boat could carry cargo that hundreds of laborers struggled to move. Distance was the great enemy of every ruler. Messages traveled only as fast as a horse. Armies marched on foot. Every additional kilometer stretched supply lines further. The greatest empires, therefore, didn't conquer geography. They learned to work with it. Persia built the Royal Road. Rome covered Europe with paved highways. Imperial China connected north and south through the Grand Canal. Infrastructure became an instrument of power. Every road, every bridge, every canal reduced the friction of distance. And by reducing distance, they increased political power. The same principle appeared across the Eurasian steppe. To settled farmers, the grasslands looked empty. To mounted nomads, they were highways. The horse transformed geography. The Mongols built history's largest contiguous land empire because technology, horse breeding, composite bows, and remarkable mobility gave them advantages that settled societies struggled to match. The geography had not changed. Technology had changed what that geography meant. For thousands of years, wealth remained tied to land. Agriculture produced food. Food supported population. Population generated taxation. Taxation funded armies. Armies defended territory. Territory produced more food. Long-distance trade certainly existed. Silk, spices, porcelain, gold, but transporting goods across land remained extraordinarily expensive. The famous Silk Roads weren't a single road. They were a network of mountain passes, river valleys, and desert oases. Whoever controlled those narrow corridors often became wealthy because they controlled movement itself. For thousands of years, land power dominated. Then came one of history's great turning points, the Maritime Revolution, beginning in the 15th century. Better ships, better navigation, better maps, and better understanding of the oceans transformed the world. For the first time in history, moving goods by sea became dramatically cheaper than moving them across land. One ship could carry cargo, requiring thousands of pack animals. The economics of geography changed, and when economics changes, power usually follows. Portugal sailed around Africa. Spain crossed the Atlantic. The Dutch built a global trading empire. Britain, protected by the English Channel and blessed with superb natural harbors, gradually became the greatest maritime power in history. Notice what happened. The oceans, once barriers, became highways. Ports became centers of wealth. Navies became instruments of global influence. For roughly 5 centuries, sea power became the organizing principle of world politics. No one explained this new age more clearly than an American naval officer, Alfred Thayer Mahan. Mahan's World. When Mahan published The Influence of Sea Power Upon History in 1890, he argued that history revealed a remarkably consistent pattern. Sea power created trade. Trade created wealth. Wealth funded industry. Industry built navies. Navies protected trade. The cycle reinforced itself. To Mahan, command of the sea meant command of global commerce, and command of global commerce meant political influence. His ideas spread rapidly. Britain embraced them. Germany expanded its navy. Japan studied them closely. The United States made them central to naval thinking. For much of the 20th century, events seemed to prove him right. Britain's blockade weakened Germany during the First World War. The Battle of the Atlantic became decisive during the Second. After 1945, the United States inherited Britain's maritime position. Aircraft carriers projected power across every major ocean. Globalization flourished beneath secure sea lanes. For centuries, the oceans appeared to be the foundation of world order. If the story ended there, Mahan would have been completely right. But while Mahan looked across the oceans, another thinker looked inland. Mackinder's challenge. Sir Halford Mackinder wasn't a sailor. He was a geographer, and he noticed something new. Railways, pipelines, road corridors, energy networks, digital infrastructure. Modern land power is increasingly about resilient logistics as much as military movement. Unlike rivers, railways could be built almost anywhere. Unlike ships, they operated entirely within national territory. Unlike roads, they could move enormous quantities of people and freight quickly and reliably. For the first time since the Maritime Revolution, continental distance was beginning to shrink. Mackinder looked across Eurasia and saw immense resources. Vast agricultural land, strategic depth, and now, modern transportation connecting them together. He called this region the Heartland. His famous statement has echoed for more than a century. Who rules Eastern Europe commands the Heartland. Who rules the Heartland commands the world island. Who rules the world island commands the world. He wasn't predicting world conquest. He was making a much simpler point. Technology had begun changing geography once again, exactly as ships had once elevated sea power. Railways were restoring some of the advantages of land power. History would soon test that idea. The First World War showed the extraordinary power of Britain's naval blockade. Sea power remained indispensable, but the Second World War demonstrated something equally important. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union, thousands of factories were dismantled, loaded onto trains, moved beyond the Ural Mountains, and rebuilt while the war continued. Strategic depth, combined with railways, allowed Soviet industry to survive. The further Germany advanced, the longer its supply lines became. Geography had become an ally, not because geography had changed, because technology had changed what geography meant. By 1945, one lesson had become clear. Neither Mahan nor Mackinder had been completely right, and neither had been completely wrong. History had demonstrated something more subtle. The balance between land and sea depends upon technology. After the Second World War, that balance once again swung decisively toward the oceans. But it would not remain there forever. The precision revolution. During the second half of the 20th century, many believed geography mattered less than ever before. Globalization accelerated. Container shipping connected continents. Information traveled instantly. Supply chains stretched around the world. Some even claimed the world had become flat. But history has a curious habit. Just when people begin believing geography has become irrelevant, technology quietly begins changing it again. Today, that change is being driven by a combination of technologies. Satellites, artificial intelligence, autonomous drones, networked sensors, long-range precision missiles. Individually, each is impressive. Together, they may be changing the strategic value of geography once again. For decades, maritime strategy rested upon one basic assumption. Large naval forces could approach hostile coastlines and project power from the sea. Today, that assumption is becoming more complicated. Finding ships at sea is becoming easier. Satellites, over-the-horizon radar, persistent drone surveillance, artificial intelligence analyzing enormous amounts of information. None of this makes naval warfare predictable. Far from it. Modern fleets possess sophisticated missile defenses, electronic warfare systems, submarines, and cyber capabilities. Combat between advanced militaries remains deeply uncertain, but uncertainty itself changes behavior. Military planners can no longer assume that large surface fleets will always operate close to hostile coastlines with the same confidence they once did. And that represents an important shift. The economics of war. History often turns, not simply on technology, but on economics. Again and again, relatively inexpensive weapons have challenged far more expensive military systems. The submarine challenged the battleship. Today, precision-guided missiles may be creating a similar relationship. Consider a modern aircraft carrier. Together with its aircraft, escort vessels, and support systems, it represents one of the most expensive military capabilities ever constructed. Now compare that with the cost of a missile designed to threaten it. The difference is enormous. This is known as cost asymmetry. A modern anti-ship missile may cost only a few $1,000,000. A carrier strike group represents tens of billions. The missile doesn't even have to sink the carrier. It simply has to force it further from the battlefield. The objective isn't necessarily to destroy every carrier. Sometimes, forcing it to operate further from the battlefield is enough. Victory isn't always about destroying an opponent. Sometimes, it's about changing the economics of competition. Hormuz nowhere illustrates this changing relationship more vividly than the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow curve of water, barely 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, connecting the Persian Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Through this single maritime corridor passes a significant share of the world's traded oil. On paper, the balance of power looks straightforward. The United States can deploy carrier strike groups, destroyers, submarines, stealth aircraft. Iran possesses none of these. Traditional military arithmetic would suggest American dominance. But geography doesn't care about paper. The Iranian coastline runs the length of the strait. Behind it rise mountains, and within those mountains, buried deep, sit missile batteries, drone launch sites, fast attack craft. Every vessel passing through Hormuz does so within sight of Iranian territory. Every tanker, every warship. This changes the economics of naval power. A modern anti-ship missile costs a few $1,000,000. A fully equipped carrier strike group costs tens of billions. The missile doesn't need to sink the carrier. It only needs to threaten it credibly enough to force the fleet to operate farther from the strait. Once that happens, the cost exchange has already favored the defender. This doesn't mean Iran can permanently close Hormuz. Reality is rarely that simple. Navies adapt, countermeasures evolve. But it does mean that a weaker power, using geography and precision weapons, can impose costs and risks that complicate operations for even the most powerful maritime force. That is not victory in the traditional sense, but it is a form of strategic leverage. And it didn't exist at this scale. A generation ago, the first island chain. The same principle appears thousands of kilometers away, in the Western Pacific, stretching from Japan, through Okinawa, Taiwan, and the northern Philippines, lies what strategists call the first island chain. For decades, this geography largely favored maritime powers. Today, long-range anti-ship missiles, integrated air defense systems, networked surveillance, drones, submarines, and electronic warfare have created a far more contested environment. Notice something important. The islands haven't moved. The Pacific hasn't become any smaller. Once again, technology has changed what geography means. Military planners increasingly speak about distributed operations. Maritime powers are adapting too. New doctrine increasingly emphasizes dispersion, missile defense, and distributed operations. This is a competition, not a conclusion. Instead of concentrating everything in one enormous base, they disperse. Smaller bases, distributed logistics, redundant communications. The objective is resilience. If one location is attacked, the system continues functioning. That same logic now extends well beyond the military. Supply chains, energy systems, communications networks, data infrastructure. Resilience has become a strategic objective in its own right. The return of strategic depth. These developments also renew interest in one of geopolitics' oldest concepts: strategic depth. Large continental states possess something geography cannot easily provide to smaller maritime nations. Space. Space for industry. Space for logistics. Space to relocate production. Space to absorb disruption. Strategic depth has never guaranteed victory. History makes that very clear, but it creates options. And in an age increasingly shaped by precision strike, options matter. Railways, pipelines, road corridors, energy networks. digital infrastructure. Modern land power is increasingly about resilient logistics as much as military movement, pipelines, road corridors, energy networks, digital infrastructure. Viewed individually, they appear to be ordinary development projects. Viewed together, they increase resilience. They reduce dependence upon any single route. The point isn't that sea power is disappearing. It isn't. The oceans will remain indispensable to the global economy. The point is that continental connectivity may once again be becoming more valuable than it was during the height of the Maritime Age. Preparing for the next war. Military organizations inevitably prepare using the lessons of previous conflicts. There is nothing unusual about that. The challenge comes during periods of technological transition. Before the First World War, many expected short campaigns of maneuver. Instead, they found industrial trench warfare. Before the Second World War, the battleship symbolized naval supremacy. Within a few years, the aircraft carrier had replaced it. Technological revolutions rarely announce themselves. They emerge gradually. Old systems continue working until they no longer work quite as well as before. History usually recognizes these turning points only in retrospect. Perhaps we are living through another one now. So, is land power returning? The honest answer is perhaps. Not as certainty, not as ideology, but as a serious historical possibility. Sea power remains enormously important. Around 90% of global trade by volume still travels by sea. Global trade will continue flowing across the oceans. Aircraft carriers remain formidable instruments of power. No serious observer should underestimate maritime strategy. But neither should we assume that the strategic conditions which favored maritime dominance for the past 5 centuries will remain unchanged forever. Technology has changed before. Every time it has, the strategic value of geography has changed with it. Perhaps that is happening once again, not because land is replacing sea, but because the balance between them is evolving. Final reflection: every generation believes its strategic geography is permanent. The Romans believed the Mediterranean secured their empire. Victorian Britain believed command of the oceans guaranteed global supremacy. After the Cold War, many believed globalization had made geography almost irrelevant. History suggests otherwise. Perhaps the next great strategic assumption won't be about oceans alone, but about who can build the most resilient network of land, sea, and industrial connections. Geography never disappears. It simply waits for technology to redefine its value. If future historians conclude that the early 21st century marked another great turning point, it may not be because one nation rose or another declined. It may be because humanity once again changed its relationship with geography. And when that happens, history changes too.